Hey guys, today we're going to build a time off template for your company so you can use this app for managing and also adding these hours to your company. You could do this as an internal app, but you could also do this as a public link, for example, at least for the requirements. And then your team can also approve or disapprove a time off, and you'll be able to manage all of this on a dashboard. So what we did here, right, Nakanakari, is basically we bring all together to one app, and then we added navigation and how to manage all this information for the HR teams, correct?
Exactly. So the idea here is to have a simple form in which people can request time off, so they can come here and say, "I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to Paris," and they fill out this form. This is vacation. This starts on such day, and so on. And then they submit this, and it's going to appear here for the person who needs to approve this request. I'm going to talk about filters later on, but the idea is that every new request is going to appear on this list, and it's only going to appear to the person who has to approve this request. So the idea here is that they're going to see this list.
Basically, inbox for approval or rejection of a time off, right? So like the manager or different kind of roles inside the company could have different views of the same request for approval process. And here we are going to do a one-step approval process, correct? We could do one that's like two, like the manager and the HR needs to approve. But in this case, it's just one step. But it would be all. It will also be possible to just add more steps into the process if they want to. And we are not going to show today, I believe, like permissioning and stuff. But it's also possible to add this to the same dash, right, Fernando?
Exactly. So we're not going to talk about permissioning in the sense that we're not going to talk about advanced permissioning. We're not going to delve into roles and such. But there's still a degree of permissioning here through filters in the dashboards. So the screen that you're seeing right now, the idea here, and I'm going to talk about filters later, but the idea here is that all the requests are only going to appear to the person who has to approve. And the idea is that people cannot see requests from other people. So an employee is not going to have access to information from another employee's request. So I'm going to talk about structure a little later on. So the idea here is that you have these requests. So I can come here and click on it, and it's going to show me the information regarding this request. So I can see that it has a short title. It has the person who submitted this request. So this is me. I'm the one who requested this time off. And there's the information: vacation, when does it start, when does it end. And then there's a couple of formula fields here to show how many days this person has given notice for this time off period. So the idea here is that people always have to request with at least 14 days notice. So this person requested with 46 days notice. So that's a formula calculating the difference between the start date and when the person submitted this request, and also just for ease of use, a formula for calculating the period, right? So you have 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. You have 5 days in this request. And also you have notes in which the person who has to approve can write something, whether they approve it or not. But the idea is that if they are going to deny this request, they have to give some information. And you can see this if I click here. Let's go to sister wedding. I think there's no information inside this one. There's no notes. Just give me a second to check. There's no notes. So if I click on deny, I'm going to receive yes. This message: when denying request, please provide the reason in the notes field. So you have all of these automations and rules going on. So if I come back here to sister wedding and I just write something, is example reason. I can click on save. And now that I have a reason here on notes, I can just click on deny. And this is going to remove the request. So it went to denied. And then just the final part of the template is that I have this all requests page, and you're going to see it in a little bit. So basically what I have here is a Gantt view, right? So I can see in a little bit more visually when people are requesting their time block, if it's not going to overlap. So for example, maybe I requested like February 22, and then you request the same time. So the idea is that you can deny one request because otherwise you're going to be understaffed and so on. And then you have the request log, which is basically a history of what happened. So you can see that the request that I've just denied is down here. I cannot change it. It's a read only. It's just for maintaining history. And then you can also filter stuff like this. So I can come here and say I only want to see requests by Dr. Penguin. There's not going to be any requests for this user, so it's going to come out blank here. But the idea here is that if I can just use the filters up top here. So let's see if there's any request that's health related, right? Maybe you have different policies for types of requests. So you can see that there's this one, it's already approved, and so on. So we're going to build this template. The structure is quite simple. We're not going to build the database. We're just going to use the database that I've already created. I'm just going to go I'm just going to explain a little bit what we did, and then we're going to build the pages themselves. So I'm going to activate builder mode, and this is going to let me change and edit stuff in the apps and in the databases. And then I'm going to go back here and see all the apps and tables, and I'm going to go to the table that I've already created for this template. So there you go. So it's this one's time of request database. So this is the table. This is the database for this template. It's the only database, so it's a very simple template. It could be a little bit more complex, like Bruno said. We have a one-step approval here, so only one person has to approve a time of request. But we could have more than one approver. We could have like a complex rule. Maybe if it's a manager, you only need one approval. If it's not a manager, you need two approvals, and so on. But this is a little bit more simple. The idea here is that you have a very straightforward process. So what we have here is the title for the just let me change the title. It's in Portuguese. There you go. So you have the title for the request. You have the type. The type is a single option field. So if I click on edit, you can see all the options that the person can select here. You have a start field and an end field. Those are dates fields. So you can only input dates here. You have this little view to facilitate filling out the form. And then you have this interval field, which is basically a mirror of both these fields. And I'm only using this here because this field is necessary for the Gantt view, right? So if I click on edit here, you're going to see that all this is basically a mirror for both these fields. So it's not doing anything. It's just a necessity for the Gantt view. I have a text field for the notes. I have a user field for the approver. And in this case, you could have it automated. You could have it so if you only have one approval or one approver, you can make it so every time a request is created, this approver is selected. Or you could have an automation that based on which person submitted the request, you have a different approver. So there are many ways that you can go about here. And then I have a date field for approve that and deny that. So basically this is for more of a compliance thing. So when someone clicks on approve or deny, it's going to register the date here. So this one that I clicked on beforehand, which is deny, you can see that there's it's today. So it's basically an automation doing that. And then you have the approve and deny buttons. You can see that they have some rules here, so I'm going to edit this field just to show you guys how this is working. So basically, this is an automation button. I can customize the icon, the colors. So let me just click on edit the automation itself. And you can see that I have some things going on here. So when this button is clicked, I'm going to check for a condition, right? So when someone presses this button, clicks on this button, I'm going to check if the person who clicked the button here, the current user, is the same user on the approver field. If so, it's going to go to the next actions. If not, it's going to show that error message, which is like the error message that we showed before for the notes part when denying a request. So if the person who clicked on this button is the same person who is on the approver field, it's going to move the card to approved, and then it's going to set approved or denied it as today. So basically, the buttons are just automations to facilitate the process. And then you have the notice and duration fields. So basically, the only thing they're doing here, it's quite simple, is a date difference of when the request was submitted and when it was created. So you can see how much days notice someone um, uh, uh, how much time I had someone submitted the request. Maybe in your company, you want people to always submit with at least 7 days notice, 14 days notice, a month in advance. So basically, this is an easy way for you to see how much time beforehand they did this. But this is basically it. The structure, that's the only part of the only database that we're going to use in this template. So let's go to building. So let's click on here on. Let's start with the form itself. So let's start with the form that people are going to use to submit their request. So I'm going to click here on create new super form. So basically, this is the form that people are going to use to submit their request. So let's wait as the platform is creating that app page with the super form. There you go. And it already created a super form with example data. I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to rename it time of form. I'm just going to go live here so I can differentiate between the one that I've created beforehand. And let's give it an icon. So when we pull all this together in an app, it's a little bit more aesthetic. So let's go with writing. So this is the icon for the form. So there you go. So let's click on edit and edit the form itself. So the title for the form is going to be time of form. And the description is submit a time of request through here. I'm going to remove the icon, the logo. I don't want it here. I'm going to remove the cover. Maybe you want to leave it with some image. I'm not going to use it. And so when we're creating forms, we always have to think about what is this form doing? Is it creating a new request? Is it updating a new request? And if it's creating, which table, which database it's sending information to? So it's basically creating new requests in the time of request database, which is the table that I've just shown you guys. And then we have to select the fields that are going to appear here. So the person is going to send the title, they're going to submit the type, they're going to submit start and end, and I think that's mainly it. They don't have to do anything else. But we're going to send two other fields here, which are approver and status. Okay. If I just click on save here, let's show you guys how this is going to appear here. So this is the form. So there are a couple of issues here that I'm going to fix. The first one, I don't like this type of view for the type in this form, so I'm going to change the. We don't have none of these fields are required, so this is also something that I have to fix. But more importantly, we have status and approver here, and I don't want the person that's submitting the request to send this information. I want this information to be filled regardless of the person that's submitting. I don't even want to give this option. So let's click on edit. We're going to edit the form. And first of all, title is going to be required. I could add a description here. I'm not going to do that right now. Type is also going to be required. And for how I want to view the field, the style of the field, I'm going to select button-like. I think it's a little bit more proper for a small number of options. Start and end are also going to be required. So I'm just going to edit and switch required as on. And also start and end are going to be inline. So what this means is that they're going to be in the same row. Okay, so now we're just left with approver and status. So what I'm going to do here is click on approver, edit the approver, and I'm going to click on hide this field. So this field is not going to appear to the end user. And I'm going to click on predefined value, and I'm going to select a predefined approver, right? So the approver is going to be me. So this will make it so when people submit a request through this form, the approver is always me. So I can click on this. And for status, I'm going to do something very similar. I'm going to click on hide this field. And for predefined value, I'm going to select new request. So every time someone submits a request, it's going to go to new request. They won't have the option to change it. And now it's just a matter of customizing stuff. So let's change the button color. Let's add a color to the title background. And let's make the form a little bit wider so there's more space for people to view. So let's click on save. There you go. So this is the form now. So let's write something. Going to Paris. It's going to be vacation, and we're going to start on the 1st all the way up to the 8th. And let's click on submit. So let's see if everything worked as intended. So let's go back to the database. And there you go. Going to Paris. The approver is myself, and status is new request. So everything is working as intended. Okay, so we have the form now. So the next thing we're going to do is the list for approval. So we're going to click on new blank app. And we're going to call this page approval list live. So we're also going to give it an icon here. So let's search for OK. There you go. So the component that I'm going to use is a list view. And now we have to think about the information that I'm going to display here. So the information that I want here is every request that is a new request. It hasn't been approved. It hasn't been denied yet. So this is what I want this list to show. So the table is, once again, time off, request database. I can sort by some sort of field. So I'm going to select created, at and ascending. So things that were created earlier on are going to be on top of the list, so it has more priority. And then I have to select the fields that are going to appear on the cover of the list, which is this part that you guys are seeing on the screen right now. So what's going to appear there is the type, the period, whether it's time off or not, and let's see if I want any other information here, who created it. Okay, so we're going to name this approval list. Okay, so let's save. And there you go. But there's also a problem here. It's showing all the information and I forgot about the buttons, right? So we're going to edit this list and we're going to add the buttons, approve and deny. And we're going to add filters here. So on this page, this is the approval list. There are two conditions for what I want to appear here. First of all, I only want requests in which status is new request. So I don't want to see things that were already approved. I don't want to see things that were denied. I only want to see new requests here. And I'm also going to add a new rule in which the records are only going to appear to the approver here. So I'm going to select approver is the logged user. This means that whoever opens this page is only going to see requests where they are the approver. So if Bruno opens this part, he's not going to see anything because he's not the approver for any of these requests. So I'm going to click on save again, and you guys can see that there are fewer requests right now because fewer requests satisfy the condition. Okay, so for now, we're going to leave the list as is. If I click on it, you guys can see that it's going to open the standard panel for editing information in Gesture. I don't want this. I want to customize it, but for now, I'm going to leave it as it is. So we have the last part, which is, let's go with new blank app, which is a dashboard with the Gantt view and the history log, the requests log. So it's going to show the information in a little more aesthetic way for us to see. So let's go with all requests for the name of this app page. We're going to click on the icon. And we're going to search for a proper emoji. So it's going to be a folder. You guys can select whatever you want here, just for customization. So the first part, I'm going to search for Gantt, and I'm going to create a Gantt view. So there you go. There's already an example here on the screen, but I'm going to change it. So this Gantt view is going to see the time off requests by the time off field, and for the color I'm going to select type. So basically the color of the bar here on the Gantt view is going to be inherited from the type single option field. And I'm going to enable the side table. The side table is this part in which you can select some fields. So I'm going to add the title, the person who submitted the request, and the type. And I can also sort by some type of information. I'm going to sort by start date, ascending, so we see things that are starting sooner up top. So I'm going to add a filter here because I don't want to see things from the past. So if someone took some time off 1 month ago, I really don't need to know that. So what I'm going to do here is add a filter in which the start field must be within the next year. So I'm only going to see things in the future, 1 year in the future. So if someone requested something for last month, it's not going to appear here. And then I'm going to click here on save. There you go. So this is the Gantt view. Now I'm going to create the requests log. And I'm going to use a table component for that. So the idea here is to show every request regardless of whether they were approved or not. So this is more of a history log of everything. So I'm going to name it history log. And it's going to see the table time of requests database. And I'm just basically going to see all information. I'm just going to remove the buttons for approving or denying, but the rest is relevant information because this is basically history, right? So we're going to save this. There you go. So I'm just going to resize it and reposition it. There you go. Okay, so for this part, the only thing that I think it's missing is that I want a filter here. So I'm going to click here on edit and add some components. So I'm going to search for filter. There you go. So it's this one, search filter. And there are a few buttons that I want here that I think that it makes sense. So I'm going to add some filters. The first one I'm going to call who. So basically the idea here is that I'm going to select a user and filter the both of these components by who submitted the request, right? So if I want to see something that Mr. Dog has requested, I can just select Mr. Dog from this button. Okay, this is the first button. The other button that I want here is the type button. So I'm going to select type. It's going to be a white button. And if I think about it, I don't have to input every type that I want. I can just get this information from the field itself. So I'm going to select from field. The table is time of requests, and the field is type. So this is going to bring all of the information from the type field on that table. And once I select the type, I can filter the Gantt component by the type. Where is it? It's here. And also the history log. Okay, so where is it? Here. And one last button that I'm going to create here is status. So maybe I only want to see approved requests. And this is going to look a lot like the type button. I'm just going to select from the field. So I'm just going to select here status. And once I've selected the status, it's going to filter the Gantt view. And let's see, here we go. And the history log. Okay, there you go. Let's click on create. And here it is. But there's a problem here. So you guys can see I'm going to click on type. I'm going to select vacation. And the problem is I don't want this filter to be on this part here below. I want it to be on top here on a title bar. So what I'm going to do now is click on edit, search for title bar. It's here somewhere. Here we go, title bar. It's already going to create it for me. Here we go. So I can select the color for it. I don't want it to be black. I want it to be a light gray. I don't want people to create records from this title bar. with this button, this blue button. So I switched off, and I'm going to select the filter that I've just created. So now when I click on save, there you go. So the filter was moved up here, and now I can just use it right here. So it's a little bit more intuitive for the person who's using it. Okay, so there are a couple of steps, quick steps that we still have to go. So let's click on all apps to navigate, and I'm going to double click. Sorry, let's go back. Okay, so let's go to the time of form that I've just created, and I'm going to use this one as the home page of my app. So let's create a title bar for him as well. It's going to be very simple. It's just going to be up here. No add record button, no search, just a title bar. And then I'm going to create a menu bar. So a side menu for this app. And this is the part that's going to bring all of the pages into a single app, right? So for the bottom part, I want a little bit darker. Top part, it's going to be the same gray as here. And for the apps, I'm going to use all requests.
One thing that people
And
should know, right, Fernando, is you need to always add the navigation for your end users, as Fernando is doing here. So you're adding all the app pages that you need on the left. And if you want to navigate inside Gesture, then you're going to use the builder bar on top. And then you'll have all your builder tools and so on. But for your users, you need to add navigation there. And when we say navigation is not only the app pages on top, but also on the bottom, you have like the option to jump into a specific page or a different app, or to send a message or to log out and so on. So you add also navigation within apps and also between apps. So you have both types of navigations, and this is one way to do the navigation with the left menu. But you could also add top bar or buttons and so on. So there's many ways to do this, but you need to add this in order for your member or your public user to actually navigate between options on your app. And on top, it's only for builders, and it's only for building tools, and also for navigation inside Jasper. But only builders will see this top bar, that is this black bar on top of the app that you're building.
exactly. So it's always important to remember that what the end user is going to see is everything here except for this top bar, which has the builder mode part. So everything regarding navigation, as you can see here on the left, the way to navigate through apps, see messages, and so on, you have to create that, and you can select what parts of the platform you want your end user to see. So now I've just created the menu bar, and you can see that I can navigate between pages. I can go to all requests. It's the one that I've just created. And the last part that's missing here is that if I go to approval list and I click on one of those, it's going to call on the standard window or the standard panel of Jester, right? So I don't want that. I want something a little bit more customized. So what I'm going to do here is click on builder mode, activate it, and I'm going to create a new superform. So one thing that we say on every live stream is that superforms are the best way to interact with information inside Gesture. So if you want something to input information, if you want something to edit information, if you want something to view information, you want a superform usually, so you can customize the information that people are going to see, what they're going to have access, whether there are going to be conditional information, and so on. So it just created the form for me. I'm going to call it request info time off info live, just separate it a little bit. Let's edit the super form. So we're going to call this form request info information from the time of request. So this is the description. I'm going to remove the logo, remove the cover, and it's going to see information from the time of request database. And now, and this is very important, this is not a form for creating new information, creating new records, submitting new requests. This is a form for seeing already existing information and updating already existing information. So we're going to click here on update record, and this is going to change the form. So it's an update form, not a creation form. And now all I have to do is add the fields that I want people to have access to. So I want people to see the title. I want people to see who created the record. I want to see for them to see when the record was created. I want them to see the type. I want them to see start and end. And I want them to see, let's see, notice and duration. And if you think about it, all of this should be read-only information. I don't want an approver to change this information. I only want them to consult this information. So I'm going to click on every single one of this and switch read-only. For created by and created at, you wouldn't need to do this. I'm doing it right now, but they're read-only fields by default. So let's change the style to button-like, read-only. Almost done. Start and end are also read-only. And notice and duration are formula fields, so you wouldn't need to put read-only as well. I'm just going to show you guys how it's done anyway, just in case. And then I'm just going to add some inline blocks because I want created by and created at to be at the same role. Same thing for start and end. And same thing for notice and duration. And now I'm going to add the notes field, and it's not going to be read-only. This is the only field that the approver should have access to modifying, to writing stuff, and so on. So let's click on save. And now you guys can see that there's an update form, right? If I select going to Paris, it's going to bring all the information from that record. You can see that it's read-only, where I selected it to be read-only, and notes, I can actually write something. So for the final part, I'm going to go back to, where is it? For the approval list. And now I'm going to click on edit the list. And down here, for the record update form, I'm going to disable standard table rules, which basically means I don't want here the standard window or panel for editing information. And I can go to the time of request update form. I think this is not the one that I've just created. Let me search for time off. Here you go, request time off info live, and I'm going to select the form that I've just created, and I'm going to switch here to open in center card wider, and I'm also going to let people use the chat when opening the record. And then I can click on save. And for the last part, I'm just going to create a title bar here because I forgot about it. So just to keep the uniformity of the app, all of the pages are going to have a title bar. And there you go. So now I can click on save. And when I click on one of those, instead of that standard panel of information, it's going to invoke the form that I've just built. So this is a better way, this is a more um, a more interesting way. It has a better user experience for the end user, and they can click on here to also use the chat part, the comment section of the card. So now let's go back to the app itself, and I think that we're done. Let's just see it all in one single app. Let's disable the builder mode. And this is the final app. You have the time off form, and then you can click on approval list, and it's going to bring this list for everything that has to be approved or denied. If you click on it, it's going to open the form that we've just built, and we can click on all requests live, and you have this filter up here which people can use. You have the Gantt view, and you have the history log. So I think that's basically it, Bruno. I don't know if you want if you think that it's important to do anything else here, but I think it's already very functional. And I think that as it is a template that a lot of people can already use on their companies.
Yeah, for sure. And just a reminder that we're going to also make this available on the template store if you want to install in your account. And you could do more if you want. So, for example, if you want to always generate a document that someone needs to sign or a PDF for them to do something or to have like a copy or on their email or a reminder that someone is going to leave on day X or any other automation that you want to add, you can add to this app that we just built, and we'll make this available. If you have any questions or suggestions, just send to us, and we will come back with another live next week. All right, guys.